Okay. As it the no knows noise about Vic getting back into voice acting spreads like wildfire across cyberspace. Many more of the usual suspect shitheads are on the move. Now, I already warned the Discord SOS, tell Natrotham Con and Chattanooga to keep Vic at any and all costs, as a certain asshole by the name of Emmett is on the move to try to get rid of him and get him uninvited from that con. Here was the tweet he patched out. Quote, and I quote. Granted, this one was from last year, but he's at it again. April 29th, 2021. One news desk down. Who knows how many notes to go? Now, I didn't look at the date, but that tweet. But that said, would I put it past Emmett to try again? No, I wouldn't. Gonna see if I can talk to some journalists in Chattanooga to see if they're interested in reading 80 pages of sworn testimony regarding the behavior of the dude flying Metrotham Con this weekend. End quote. But that's not what I'm here for. What I'm here for is to read off Little Rock's shit about Monica. Little Rock's is saying Anime Matsuri didn't know that she lied about her experience. And here was the experience she posted in their Twitter thread. And with a few from others like Sean Chiplock and Smiley Wesker. Now, this is kind of small, so bear with me. Now, this is from recently. Monica said, quote, well, this list certainly makes blocking easier. She backed up her threat. Effective yesterday, Linda Young, Cynthia Krantz, Crystal Laporte, Morgan Berry, Nola Cupp, Brian Massey, Josh Takanashi, Haley Todd, and I don't know who else. There was one more that was on that list for those cast shows that Matsuri was dubbing. Have been blocked by Monica. You know, Monica, you think these are healthy boundaries? No, these are toxic boundaries you're setting. You're making yourself a victim just to justify how much of a fucking bitch you are. Amen to that, Shiny SECGC. And again, it's always because Monica's proven she's nothing more than an attention-seeking, greedy whore, jealous of the fact that Vic got top billing in Super Broly, and yet she didn't throw a hissy fit when she didn't get top billing in superheroes. That went to both Chris Sabat and Kyle Hebert. I mean, at the minimum, I would have figured she'd throw a hissy fit at Kyle getting top billing, or even Janine Tirado. True help, PA fan. But my point is this: how long is this group of this cabal of cock-headed, crack-brained, shit-faced cunts gonna keep this up? Until Monica is willing to submit to Monica and Mars Girl are willing to submit to my challenge at whatever con I pop up at and consent to taking a fucking polygraph test? And I know not all polygraph tests are admissible in courts of law or feasible evidence in courts of law, as some in a court of law, as some pathological liars were able to get around them. And if that were the case, where's Lilo and Stitch? Where's Stitch's cousin, Experiment 032, aka Fibber, the ultimate lie detector? Well, Tora cosplayers was among the ones who was complicit in this recent blocking, Evie. You know, your little stalker. Really, Little Rock's replied, "Really, Monica? Why do you continue to lie?" And even Sean Chiplock got in on this. Here's the thread. Well, this is what Amethyst said, or Love Amethyst 90. But it seems they had no idea who they were going to be working with until the announcement was put out. Morgan tweeted she didn't know beforehand. Monica replied, "Maybe, but in 23 years, I never had a gig where I didn't know who I was." Well, you know what, Monica? You can go fuck yourself. Everyone knows who you are now. You're nothing but a serial liar, victim complex. Darwin, this is not the time I need you to be in here. So can you get out? This is not something a minor needs to hear. Anyway, Sean Chiplock put in this, and I quote, "Maybe I'm just the social outcast in this case, or there's a generational gap. The concept of friend A exists, but I definitely don't know about most, if any, of my fellow cast members before the finished product comes out. Nor do I get nosy and ask in rare instances. I don't think it's unfair for Monica to use her own anecdotal experiences regarding knowing the other cast members to push the same expectations and assumptions on the colleagues. A lot of us don't ask because we don't see there being any need to. We assume we're in good company. Now, while Sean may be one of those who threw Vic under the bus, and I'm referring to Chiplock, not Schimmel, because we all knew Schimmel would throw Vic under the bus at the drop of a hat, Sean does have a valid point here, as much as I hate to admit it. Most of these actors don't ask who they're going to be working with in most cases. And the rare instances they do get nosy, and there are very few and far between instances where they will get nosy. Smiley Wesker closed it out saying, "I think it's a toxic precedent with unrealistic expectations, and it doesn't help painting a mark on these actors with her reactionary fan base riled up. Thank you, Smiley Wesker." And Smiley Wesker makes the most valid point here. What Monica does is setting a toxic precedent by riling her fan base up by doing what she did. And in my opinion, this is going to rile up the fan bases of Linda Young, Cynthia Kranz, Crystal Laporte, and Morgan Berry, especially, to go at me. I'm going to say now she's stepping over the line. It's gone too far, and she basically cast us aside just because especially more so in Linda and Cynthia's cases, they're still on good terms with Vic. They've been at cons with the guy and get along with him quite well. You could say the same for Tiffany Grant, John Swayze, Kent Williams, Lucy Christian, even though she doesn't pop up with cons with Vic, Wendy Powell, Chuck Huber, Johnny Young Bosch, Todd Habercorn, Ruben Langdon. All these people still on relatively good terms with Vic. And even Tiffany Vollmer, the woman you replaced, Monica, a woman who's been out of the game for over a decade because basically Chris threatened her to leave for you to get the role of Boma. Hence why I constantly say to you, bitch, you're not my Boma. That honor belongs to Tiffany Vollmer, who is the true Boma. Tell me about it, Evie. I'm more after they threw me out 4 years ago. I basically cut ties with Ichiban Khan, Triad Anime Con, and the 8 other cons under the lead moderator's belt. But throwing Vic out was the straw that broke my back. I tried to get back in a year later before COVID hit, but my social worker was a lazy ass piece of shit who did nothing to help the situation. And not to mention the head of the con, Victoria Allbarnes, and a reclusive bimbo. Which proves the point that any of these conventions, that Trent Michaels makes, that any of these conventions that bend the knee of this fucked up, crack based whore mob of whores are nothing but cowards who don't give a fuck about the fans. They give a fuck about lining their own pockets. Jeff Sain said this: "It should be obvious now that Dallas Funimation voice actors try to gatekeep and bully coworkers in the industry, mounting a targeted harassment campaign with a list of VAs who chose to work with someone they don't approve of. Absolutely petty and disgusting." End quote. Well, here's a little detail that Amethyst missed. I think Linda, Cynthia, and Tiffany would be more than happy to work with Vic again, as opposed to dealing with an overkill toxic whore like Monica. Where are the women and children, bitch? As far as I'm concerned, you're the one who deserves her neck in a noose. Here's what Lil Rock said after a massive thread between these bastards who deserve death, in my opinion. My Lil Rock said this, and I quote: "You said the people working with Vic are not good humans. Everything is about you, Monica, and you're full of shit in your comment about women and children getting hurt. Nobody was hurt by Vic, and you know it. It's called making a living. You need to go see a shrink." And she's right. I think that Monica's in that state where she's got dementia, where she's basically in her own little bubble state of dementia, where she's got her own little bubble thinking that or then again, she has the biblical Jezebel spirit. Someone who thinks she's above God, someone who's, a woman who's above God and thinks she can get away with every act of debauchery, vice, and deception you can think of. Chris, not now, please. I'm going off on a tangent. Anyway, I already mentioned that tweet. Michael, who's another one of Monica's little shells, said this. Sounds like they worked with a sub director who they thought was the director, and some recorded in 2018 before Vic was apparently on the project. The more that comes out about it, the crazier it gets. I'm wondering if this was started by someone else. Else thing later finished. Mars Girl, the bitch who caused all this, I might want to point out. It does sound like some people recorded with him, though I just don't know who. REG. So it's basically a shit show that some being in on it tricked others and not knowing affiliation. Nick, who's a total hypocrite using Belle Dandy from Oh My Goddess as his avatar at NSM0220. Cheeseburger, we've gone over this. Vic Mignogna, voice actor, accused of a crime he didn't commit, was blacklisted by the community for the most part, and a majority of major conventions threw him out. He's now getting back into the voice acting game after a convention out in Houston got to work on dubbing two obscure anime titles together, and basically the one of the two of the bitches who caused all this and threw him under the bus have basically they claim he committed sexual assault, which he did not. The court case files said that the defendants showed no evidence that he did what they claimed. Granted, it was Vic that was suing them for defamation, as well as torturous interference with his convention contracts. No, he didn't. Kier, do not troll me on this. The answer is no on both on that question. Evie, you explain it to them. Or accused of molestation of young kids, which was never the case. And Funimation showed no evidence to prove that point, even though they were the defendants in the defamation case. Anyway, as I was saying, Nick then replied, I think that was what happened with Morgan Berry. She thought this was in person, this person in, but then they did the switch on her by tricking her. Don't worry, I'm not going to support Matsuri at all. Dude, you really need to work on your writing and spelling. Enough said on that. Little Rocks replied, I knew that KV, or the Kick Vic movement, was going to have a fit, and they did just that. I will show the context that these people are jealous and hateful. They wanted to humanize others because they crave for that excitement that they will never get. This hateful woman who blocks people who support Vic. And I went through this I went all over this yesterday, so I'm not going to repeat it again. But here's a new one. This is a perfect example from Lil Rocks. And I quote, I go, Quant. It's innocent till proven guilty, Airborne. Not the converse. Vic is more of the victim of being framed for a crime that he didn't commit. This is a perfect example. Sort of, Chris. This is a perfect example of gatekeeping and cancel culture. These people are mad. a slew of tweets relating to this situation, Goat. Oh, they got posted on Facebook. This is what someone from Top Tier Dub Clips, a guy by the name, another kick vicar named at Top Tier Dub Clips, Dub Clip Highlight Reel said. And I quote, "The whole Matsuri situation is a good reminder why we need to be vigilant and keep Vic and cons like Anime Matsuri out of the community. Beyond the damage they've already caused, their existence further sows distrust within the community they caused by just existing." Little Rock's replied, "You are, quote, you are nothing but a nut job. You're gatekeeping, you piece of shit." And he is. Response back. "People might think we are obsessive about keeping them out of the community, but we have to be like this because it's important. They've caused so much harm to the community. We can't afford to let them persist. Otherwise, we will get more stunts like recently." Here's what Little Rock said to that response. "I guess people don't care about money. I guess they rather starve because of their pathetic pride. This is ridiculous. You can't have everything nice without these social justice warriors ruining things for you." Yes, 6 times as a matter of fact, in person. And I talk to him periodically on Wednesday nights on Twitch, Kierg. But I haven't seen him in the flesh since 2019. And you're really going to hate this one, Shiny, because this one's from Tora at Otakon Crunch. Quote, "Still trust me, Morgan is on your side, Monica. Met her at Katsu during the VIP meet and greet 2 weeks before the pandemic happened, and we both joke about Vic's lawsuit, calling it the T. So it's very clear she's not on his side and was manipulated." End quote. Or maybe things have changed in the last 2.5 years, and maybe Morgan has pulled her head out of her ass. I don't know. But her name's on the dotted line, and she has to deal with it, however grudgingly. And I put emphasis on grudging. And you're damn right, Chris. Social justice warriors are the fucking worst. Especially when people like this project their own fallibilities on other people. Me, sure, I've done wrong, but do I, and on occasion I do project it on others, but do I do it on a 24/7 basis? No, I don't. What you see from me is what you get. You may not like what I gotta say, but at least I'm fucking straight with you. And this is as straight as I'll ever say it. I stand with Vic now, then, and forever. Leave a comment when the video's over, smash that like button, sub to the channel. Until next time, Mets2128 signing out, saying goodbye and good fucking night. Bang!